Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Dan to Dan, Season 2.
Yep, Dan to Dan, Season 2, Episode 3. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the Dojo. Well, last week we got the Evil Eye, everything that's going on with that. Something we did forget to mention last week that I did want to point out was we were talking about how Gigi is definitely still in there, and we didn't mention the fact that it's mostly due to the fact that he's using soccer and or football skills to attack things. So he's in there somewhere.
Gigi's two defining character traits as up to this point is him being a goofball and him being a soccer jock.
Yep.
So when Ancient Spirit of Vengeance possesses his body and then starts busting out the soccer skills, clearly he's having some influence on it.
Clearly. So, Worm is still an issue. We're pretty sure the HOA is just dead at this point. Unless they have some kind of weird power to survive being eaten alive by Worm. So, it'll be interesting to see where this goes from here, but
they definitely have some supernatural aspect about them, but chances are it does not protect them from their own, god being that's giving them that supernatural power.
Yeah. So, either way, we're just kind of in the middle of it here, and just not a huge amount to say going into this one, really. I just wanted to mention the soccer and or football thing. That was pretty much it. I really got nothing else. It's just still what you'd expect from this, so I assume it'll probably be this episode and maybe the next one to wrap this situation up, but we'll just have to see where the pacing puts us. So either way, we'll get the timer set up for you guys over on Patreon, and for people on YouTube, we will see you on the other side of this edit for the discussion and review. So here goes something. Well, alrighty then. There was visual error and the timer wasn't there for you guys on the reaction, but we didn't have any breaks or pauses, so hopefully nobody had to get up in the middle and pause. But if you did, then you were probably only off by a couple seconds, so it's kind of irrelevant. But either way, as for this, we had Couch Rocket, Armchair Rocket, I guess. It wasn't really a couch. Whatever. I didn't say it during the live reaction there, but I was thinking to myself when Momo got to the top there, and it's just like, why aren't you Michael Jordaning it, full Space Jam? Just, it took her a while to just realize, oh yeah, I can use my ghost hands to grab as well. It's like, you're falling. Yeah. Hello, are you just gonna fall and not grab with your ghost hands?
Yeah, I mean... Okaroon even said that was the plan, but she just totally spaced out for a second there and almost didn't catch herself.
Yep. Just I'm not gonna make it. It's like, you're right there, and we just saw you stage 2 your ghost hands way farther than how far you were away from grabbing onto the outcropping there. So it's just just is what it is. To that end, her power still being the weird mystery that it is, we did get to see her pick up and throw a fire truck, which I believe is the biggest thing that she's done so far. So
yeah,
that's pretty impressive. So that's another power, just not power creep, but just feat of strength that can be attributed to her at the moment. So she at the very least can lift a fire truck and throw it 25 feet, something like that.
Yeah, specifically a fire truck that is full of water at the time because it was deployed to a fire.
Right. Which this was...
I mean, it had been spraying for a little while, so it probably wasn't totally full of water, but it's still, the fact that it was deployed on scene means it still had a reasonable amount of water in its tank.
Right.
As opposed to just an empty fire truck that is just going between stations.
Yep. So either way, that was impressive. So we have that. since we were fairly close to it, the HOA randomly survived. I mean, we did get to see that sticky fluid doesn't necessarily do damage, so if they were submerged in that, I guess you could argue that they were, like, reasonably preserved, but how did they survive by not being able to breathe? that's the question.
Yeah, we don't know if there wasn't any like air in its stomach or anything like that.
Right. But either way, it looks like all of them got out, and they're now... Who knows what they're gonna do? They're pissed off about the volcano. We know that because this was like a no-win situation across the board, as it stands. So, I mean, giant worm's a problem. The family's a problem. But if you handle them, then the village explodes. Literally. Via volcano. And Aang or Roku are not here to fight the volcano for them. So they're gonna have to figure something out.
Yeah, it's one of those situations of either you just keep letting the worm kill people, or you just take the one big hit of letting the volcano go off, and what happens, happens.
Right. Which, if there is a serpent god here, like for real, and not the cryptid, then maybe, like, Momo's grandma can do something about it, but I'm pretty sure she's tied to the deity in their town. So...
She has commented about, like, being able to contract with other deities. It's just that's her, like, main deity that she's contracted with, so that's why she can only use her powers in that domain.
Right, because I believe we did see a little snip of her in that brief preview that they show, so maybe she shows up, I don't know. But either way, the rest of the episode was pretty much just the action sequence with Okarun and Gigi, and we got what I assume, and Age mentioned this, is referred to as Serious Okarun, where he drops the mask, willingly or not.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a specific name for it, but I've seen people talking about, and like some snippets from the manga and stuff like that, of quote-unquote serious Okarun, where he doesn't have the mask and he's like way stronger than normal.
Right.
So I figured that's what we were getting as soon as I saw his mask get damaged by GG early in the fight.
Yep. So he also did, what was that, like 100 hits at least? He counted to 20 multiple times. I kind of didn't archer it right there and just didn't count, but it was at least 100 hits that knocked JD out there.
Yeah, I believe it was exactly 100 hits.
So I was just focused on making the joke on did you guys think it was the same voice take over and over again? It definitely wasn't for the last one because there was more effort in the last one. I can't fathom doing that one. That one was some serious effort. But
yeah, it's literally all he was doing was he just did 5 reps of 20 squats.
Yeah. Because you could argue, oh man, Okarun's in an enclosed space. That's like the worst thing for a speed type. Well, not so much when he's now been working out and he can consolidate his power the way he did. You can turn speed into strength pretty easily. So...
Yeah, I mean, speed... In a lot of cases, speed, especially extreme speed, trumps strength. Because even the tiniest thing moving fast enough is dangerous. Like, that's the whole premise behind a railgun. Railgun projectiles are fucking tiny compared to most actual projectiles. But because they are accelerated to such a ridiculous degree through magnetism, they're far more dangerous than most normal projectile weapons.
Right. So, the same theory applies here, but we got more soccer skills, we got, Okarun being badass, and then not so much because he didn't Minecraft hard enough. He should have put, stuff all over the place and just had surrounded Turbo Granny with the wood and not even risked it. But we all knew it was going to happen the second that started. It's just a fairly classic comic gag of, well, he did what he should have done and was reasonably careful, but he honestly should have just completely Minecrafted off the floor, kind of like when you're like replacing, water source blocks or lava or whatever, and not even risk it at all. Because let's face it, there was enough random bits of house down here that he could have probably done that.
Yeah. The other thing to freaking think is, from what we've seen of the liquid, he actually probably was better off just walking into it. Unless it is one of those things where, like, as it dries, it gets more difficult to move in. Because this stuff had been down here for a little while, but it's one of those things of, like, yeah, it's difficult to walk through, but it's still far better footing than trying to balance on a plank on top of it.
Yep. So that was what it was. Come on, the comedic factor was there. That's all we were looking for. Real bummer for Turbo Granny. We got to see her hopeful face because he's gonna have that character development at some point. She's probably not gonna go the Sukuna route, which we all know what happened with Jujutsu Kaisen. That show just that entire series got spite ended by the author. That dude just like went full CM Punk and mic dropped and left the company. The company he created.
From what I've heard, I think they're still planning to do anime for the rest of the series, but yeah, that ending was apparently not good because the author deliberately made it not good just to fuck with people.
Yep. So I don't know. For anybody who knows what I'm talking about, and this is kind of spoilers, so if you don't know, but so like the next 20 seconds, don't listen to me. But that whole note Gojo sends Megami. Yeah, that would be pretty classic. But
yeah, from what I know, we still have our decent amount of like reasonably good content in Jujutsu before it gets to the fucking ending.
Yep.
Like at least another season or so of the culling game.
Yep.
Before the ending.
And that is scheduled. It comes out next year, so we'll just have to see what happens with that. But as for Dan, pretty reasonable enough episode for what it was, continuing this thing. Props to Momo for getting arrested. Also, don't admit to the arson. Just say that you woke up and the house was on fire. Come on. Don't ever admit to arson.
Especially after you already previously had evidence that the cops were freaking in bed with the HOA.
Yeah, so, I mean, just don't even mention those people. Mentioning them, that you're against them, is also another bad thing that you can do. You can just say that you woke up and the house was on fire, so that was it. I don't know what's going on. Never admit fault. Ever.
Remember, blatant denial solves all things.
Pretty much. That's how you end up with a certain set of files that will not ever be mentioned again, apparently. I'm not getting into that, but I think we all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we got random worm data, history, biology class. What is the word I'm looking for?
Worm facts.
Yeah, worm facts. Yeah, that was cool. Just random worm facts. Why not?
This is something I actually already knew, because when I was growing up, I did a lot of shenanigans involving like reptiles and bugs and stuff like that, and that was one of the things. Was one of the easiest ways to specifically go out and hunt worms would be to drench areas that you knew worms were, because they'd start drowning and they'd come to the surface, and that way you didn't have to dig for them or anything. So,
TLDR, I learned something today. I didn't know worm facts, so cool that it worked on a cryptid, I guess. I'm kind of bummed out that it didn't just like solidify like a troll, and then it could have been like a landmark that people could have come to and actually spectated, instead of the entire town walking up to the freaking shrine like 800 steps just to watch a freaking house burn down. Don't get in the way of emergency personnel. It is dumb. and dangerous. Okay? Don't be like those people. If you see a fire, stay away from it. And if no firefighters are there, call it in. Don't make a freaking TikTok video about it. Use your phone the way it was intended for. Okay? Don't be the 99% of people that just, oh, something stupid's happening, I'm going to film it, as opposed to, calling the cops or any kind of authorities, or in this case, the fire department, whatever. Just be the smart person and call for help. And stay the hell out of the way. Absolutely. Unless you are reasonably trained and you think you can pull somebody out of the burning vehicle, then just stay the hell out of the way. So, either way, we now have a volcano problem. So that's fun, right? Who doesn't love volcanoes when there's no avatars around to bail you out? So maybe it'll be a local deity thing, something like that, because we did see Momo's grandma there in the preview. So we'll just have to see. But one would assume that if there is a shrine to a snake god, that there's probably a snake deity in this region, and the worm was just being a dick. So this is Japanese mythology we're talking about. They have thousands of gods, literally. So
once again, a core premise to Shinto belief is that anything that receives enough attention develops a soul, and any soul can technically become a god.
Yep.
But yeah, like, the main thing I assume that this probably is just a case of, like, there was the snake god originally, but that the cryptid moved in and basically usurped it, and God's just been pissed off this whole time that the cryptid's been getting all its worship, and so now as soon as the cryptid's gone, it's taking it out by releasing the volcano.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that, but at some point, Gigi's got to snap out of it, right? I'm sure he's going to wake up not dead. I mean, he did take a lot of face damage in this episode, so it'll be interesting to see how his yokai power comes to, because we know he's not going to die. He's main character. So how does he come to terms with his yokai? Do they just kind of like become bros and move on, because that's kind of like where they were leading to in a way? It's probably not going to obviously be like a Turbo Granny situation, because that's something completely different. So I assume every yokai power and how they handle their transformation will be different, because the Silky was unique. So far we've had two different kinds of transformations and how they came about. So I assume Gigi is going to be like the full-on like bro, like just, okay, we're in this together, like, and then they just like, bro handshake it and move on with their day. Because it's not like the original spirit was a bad person. They just became super jaded from the backstory that we got last time. So
yeah, so far, Turbo Granny's power was stolen from her. The Silky gave her essence to Ira. And so, yeah, I imagine with Gigi, we're probably going to get some sort of like actual symbiotic relationship to keep diversifying it.
And Momo's still weird.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, once again, no one, even in universe, knows what the hell Momo's powers are.
Yep. So, anyway, that's all I got. I'm excited for a volcano next time. Maybe a snake god. That's cool. Maybe that guy at the shrine can take some pictures and make a YouTube video. Have the god in the background. There you go. There's your tourist trap. So, that's all I got. Anything else, Age?
No, I imagine that this next episode probably will be the end of this story arc, and that the rest of the season will probably be whatever the next story arc is.
I did see a couple random like shots from like episode 6 or something, and it involved hilarity, so I'm excited for that. But I'll leave it at that. I'm just a guy who loves comedy, and comedy is apparently coming, so yay.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the different story arcs, but like I said, I know who the next two main characters coming are. And if it's the story arc that I think it is, then yeah, it involves a bunch of shenanigans at the school. with Ira being back and whatnot.
Right.
So once again, Ira is actually a relatively significant character. This is just like one of the few story arcs where she's just totally written out.
Right. For pretty obvious reason that makes sense, so it's really not that big of a deal. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube beyond, however you're watching, we always appreciate you stopping by and hanging out here in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And this was Dan to Dan, Season 2, Episode 3. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.